Johnson keeps it. Touchdown.
I just got to ask you this, man. I just got to ask you this. Why'd you dive at the end of that highlight, man? It wasn't necessary for you to even dive at that point, Joe.
Thank you, Coach Stewart. You know what? Thank you, Coach Stewart, because I don't teach that. I don't condone that. And I'm a little bit embarrassed about that because that's not how I was raised. That was showboating. Hey, listen, Doug Stewart, Dougie Fresh, that was showboating. Thank you for that. And thank you for calling me on the carpet for that, because where a lot of people were like, hey, you saw how I dive? Didn't that look fresh? I'm a little taken back, and from you and the way I know you, how we were raised, that's a little bit embarrassing. I did not have to do that.
That wasn't even necessary. I just realized that. You've been doing this show now for about, 8 weeks now. Yeah. And I just looked at that. I'm like, there was nobody around. You could have walked in. Hey, welcome to the show. This is the Joe Hamilton show, all right? The college football Hall of Famer, Georgia Tech legend, Alvin's finest, Macedonia's finest, on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. Joe, how are you doing, sir?
I'm outstanding, Doug. You hear me? I'm outstanding. Fabulous, especially for a guy like me doing this time and doing the time of the year, the calendar year. I mean, Final Four, baseball, the start of baseball, NBA, you jockeying for position to say, hey, what seed do you want to be? Because you want to stay away from the play-in, the Western Conference. They are amazing. How many teams above 500? But I mean, it's going well. And all of a sudden, I don't want to put it on the back burner, but the term soccer dad, as far as your kids doing a lot of different things, not just soccer or limited to soccer, but a lot of different things, Doug. Boy, my kids are athletic. They love it. They are true scholar athletes, man. And I got a question. Well, first of all, how you doing, my friend?
I'm great. I'm fantastic. No, go ahead, ask a question.
Yeah, you have 2 daughters. Have
three? I got 3. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, 3 daughters. Have any of them growing up because you and their uncle played football and gravitate towards football? Did they ever want to play football? Talk about flag football? Are they that type of football young ladies, or it's all about just sports in general? How do they gravitate towards football?
No, not really at all. So my oldest daughter doesn't like football. None of them like football per se. My middle daughter and youngest daughter both cheered in middle school all the way through high school. Okay.
Right.
So we went on cheer competitions. They cheered competitively too. So we went to these cheer competitions, all of the home games, pretty much all of the away games that I was in town for. I went to all of those. But they don't really care for football. Like the baby girl is a junior right now at Tennessee State. I don't think she even goes to the games on Saturday that they have. And they won the conference this year. Yeah. Tennessee State won the Ohio Valley Conference this year. Eddie George is the coach. He's moved on now to Bowling Green, I think. But
yes.
I call her on a Saturday morning thinking she going to be at the tailgate, like we used to do it when I wasn't playing football. And she's like, oh, I'm in bed. I'm like, the game starts in 30 minutes. What do you mean you're in bed? Yeah, so they're not really in football like that. They're not really into it like that.
Yeah, and the reason why I brought that up, because my daughter, she just turned 14 on Friday, March the 29th, and her favorite sport is football. You hear me when Skylar, my son, he's a junior now, he's going to be a rising senior, and watching, she said, and has been saying for a long time, not just now, football is my favorite sport. I wish I could play football. Physicality. It wasn't a flag. It wasn't to say, hey, I don't want the physicality. She wants to play football. So just thank God she just came out of, she had practice from 6:30 to 8:30, but the transition from the Olympics, the transition from the NFL and what they're doing Pro Bowl weekend, all those things. I'm so happy for her because she is enjoying it. Flag. She said, Dad, teach me how to throw. throw a spiral, DBs. She's eating it. And to add on to that, shout out to Kaden because she's in the cheer competition, gymnastics, running track, basketball. She's doing it all. Everything like we say women should be doing.
Right.
She's saying football is her favorite deal. So I would just, just interested to ask you that question.
And how old is she? How old is she again?
She just turned 14 on Friday.
Okay, so Joe,
she's in the 8th grade, and next year she'll be going into high school.
So from what I understand, women's football is being sanctioned in a lot of states and a lot of districts that have football teams are now, being, or asked to put out a women's football team. So you're going to start to see a lot more. She might end up playing seriously in an organized league by the time she's a sophomore, junior in high school.
And it's transitioning to flag football, and not necessarily what we would think about putting the pads in the mouthpiece and knocking heads off in their instances, but it's flag football in the high school ranks and the Olympics and, just the Pro Bowl and NFL. Matter of fact, NFL flag, everything the NFL is promoting now, they're doing it for women. So shout out to Kaden because I just said, hey, Doug's got 3 daughters. None of them, had that into them, but it's all good. But that's another avenue. That's another avenue to, I say, scratch that itch for those young ladies.
Yeah. So my baby girl, she runs track. She runs track.
Yes, absolutely.
In college and doing very well. She actually was in Atlanta this past weekend. So she's definitely the athlete, and I've seen her run boys down as far as field day. You remember field day? Did y'all have field day in Macedonia?
Oh, yes. You get a ribbon. Yes.
So I went to her field day like her junior and senior year in high school, man. She just made the little boys look bad in foot races like the 50-yard dash and all of that stuff. She's a very, very good athlete, doing great in college. And, so I'm very, very proud of her and her athletic prowess. And, Joe, a lot to get into. And once again, this is the Joe Hamilton Show. Joe Hamilton, college football Hall of Famer, quarterback for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Should have won the Heisman. We're not going to even get into that. Should have won the Heisman, damn it. Ron Dane is some bull. It's some BS. You know how I feel about that. We're not
yes, I do.
That. Yeah. Joe, before we talk about this college basketball and the Final Four and how your bracket's doing and what do you see happening in these last 2 games, a lot of people don't know. We talked about it a lot, but not really a lot. A lot of people don't know you were pretty much known for basketball as much as you were known for football in our area where we grew up at. Okay, for people that don't know, Joe Hamilton grew up in the next town over from Moco, which me and Ryan talk about and have been talking about for the last 25 years. I think I remember you more for basketball than I remember you for football, and that's crazy. That's crazy.
That is crazy, but it's real. And the reason why it's real is because that's all we did, man.
Right.
That's all we did in the low country. That's all we had to do. And that's why I really have my chest poked out about the low country from Moco, Mount Scorner, even from Charleston down to Goose Creek, down to Moco, and down to Alvin. That's what we predicated ourselves on. And just the ball handling skills. You can hear a lot about the things that some listeners from the South Carolina low country would hear me say now. I know and played against the Broughtons. I know and played against the Baileys. I know and played against the Stewarts and all those guys that we know about in basketball. And it was huge. Matter of fact, I thought that, I could, and for a long time, and not to just, top my own horn, Coach Crimmins had to have a debate or had to have a discussion with Coach O'Leary because with Stephon Marbury and, Travis Best coming back and some of those guys, Matt Harpering, I played off-season basketball with those guys. I played and I held my own, and those guys kind of say, hey, come out, be a 6th man, 7th man, 10th man, but I knew I could play, but Coach O'Leary didn't want that to happen. And also I still stand as one of those guys in South Carolina to make or to be player of the year in football and basketball. I take pride in that. In that, but you give me 3 inches, man, maybe I'm a LeBron James playing at 48 years old now.
you guys were an attraction. Like, we come from a little small town, so I kept hearing about this Joe Hamilton. I kept hearing about Harvey Middleton, who, by the way, was played wide receiver for Georgia Tech. Y'all played the same time? Were y'all the same class?
Oh, absolutely. He came out his junior year, and I was his quarterback the entire high school, and obviously at Georgia Tech as well. Yes.
Yeah, so I remember you guys from that, man. So I know you're a big-time basketball fan. We're going to hit a bunch of different topics, but I just want to throw this out there, man. The Final Four is set. Duke, Houston, Florida, and Auburn. First time in a long time that you have all 4 number 1 seeds that make the Final Four. What is your thought? Kind of remind us of who you liked in your Final Four, and talk a little bit about who you think is going to win it all.
Yeah, Doug, that's the first time since 2008, just to be exact, since all 4 number 1 seeds, were in the Final Four. And my initial thought and my initial opinion of that was Duke. And the reason why Duke, defense, length, Cooper Flag, in my opinion, the best player in the nation. But all of a sudden you looked at it and you looked at the number 1 seeds and you looked at the SEC and all who were top ranked, and you're wondering, hey, how are you going to fill out your bracket? And I filled up my bracket. Sometimes you're going to pick the upsets. Sometimes you're going to go and say, this is going to be somebody that's playing well late, that's not going to continue. But I had to go all chalk. And for everybody that's listening, chalk means that just, my grandma could say, number 1 seed, number 1 seed, number 1 seed. That's what I'm going to pick, and I'm going to be right. And I think the committee should be, applaud themselves about this because they did it just right. Houston, no doubt about a number 1 seed. Florida, there's no doubt number 1 seed. Auburn, the number 1 overall seed, and the number 1 seed as well in their bracket, in their region, yes, and then Duke. So a lot of people, Doug, it would say, I want a little bit of a Cinderella. I want a little bit of a guys that wasn't supposed to be there, wasn't, shouldn't make it to the Elite Eight, shouldn't make it to the Final Four. But in my opinion, when they get to the Final Four, Butler had a good game against Duke on a last-second attempt, and some guys got there and they put up a good fight. But more often than not, Doug, those are not good games.
Right.
They're not good games. I want good games and good matchups. And although it might not be that, you have a Cinderella, I want good basketball where I don't have to we call it clutch moments or clutch minutes. And clutch minutes is under 3 minutes, under 4 minutes, left in the game within 3 or 4 or 5 points. Those are the type of games that we want, and that's what we're getting. I can't decipher between all the teams now, but I will say to you that my bracket is still alive. And I did cheat, or I do cheat, Doug. And this is how I cheat. I fill out an overall bracket, 68 teams, and I turn that in. But once we get to the Sweet 16, I rearrange things. Right. I say, no, this is another tournament for me. And so I went back and see how those guys are playing. We have 2 games to analyze and see how guys are playing, the health, the coaching, the rotation, who's hot, who's not hot. And then I reevaluate. And I still came out to where my bracket was set. 4 teams, all number 1 seeds, Duke and Florida in the matchup on Monday, playing for the national championships, and Duke cutting down the nets. And I still stand very, very firm about that.
So there's a vast difference, and this is the Joe Hamilton Show on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. Talking to Joe Hamilton about some college basketball NCAA tournament Final Four is set. One thing that I don't think has been talked about enough is the discrepancy or the difference between the tenure and the experience of these head coaches. So you got Kelvin Sampson, been around since we were in middle school. He's been coaching forever. Also got Bruce Pearl. Kelvin Sampson's been around forever, and he's been in a bunch of different scandals and
survived scandals. Yes,
right. And Bruce Pearl, longtime coach in NCAA's. So John Shire and Ty Golden, kind of the younger guys. Do you think that might come into play? The experience factor. These guys, Bruce Pearl and Kelvin Sampson, pretty much have seen it all. So maybe that comes into play a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it comes into play a little bit, Doug, but not big time because it's the Final Four. It's a spectacle. Now, Kelvin Sampson, he's been near it. He's been around it. I'm sure he's been on an assistant coach that's been, assistant coach on the staff as an assistant coach. That's the hoopla, but not as a head coach. As a head coach, you make a lot of different changes. What are you going to do in idle time? When is the walkthrough? When is the pregame meal? How are you going to tell your players to handle social media or the media in general? All those type things. So I see, in my opinion, 4 brand new coaches. Yes, right. I know the experience overall about coaching, but what about the Final Four? We know it's different. It's different, Doug. So now that I'm looking at it, I'm seeing 4 first-time head coaches trying to battle to win their first national championship. And also with that, you got a couple of teams that have never won a national championship in the likes of Auburn, and Houston has been there. You remember Phi Sigma Jam with Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon back in our day.
Right.
But some of these schools and programs have never been there. So I'm thinking brand new. Yes, experienced coaching, but I don't think experienced coaching on this level. And I think it's going to be a high level of magnitude, and the stakes are going to be raised big time.
This is the Joe Hamilton Show on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. I'm going to throw something out to you, and we're going to kind of move away from basketball. There were 7 SEC teams, I believe, in the Sweet 16. Was it Sweet 16?
Yeah, Sweet 16, yes.
Okay, so yeah. So seven SEC teams. The SEC is known for football, never really known for basketball. And on the flip side, Duke is in the Final Four, but there's usually North Carolina and North Carolina State and Virginia and teams like that, but not this year. Do you think that we're seeing kind of some results of NIL and the fact that these SEC teams that come from the SEC, we know about the history of the big money boosters? That's why football was always king. But now we see, ACC down a little bit and SEC rises up. Is it because of booster money? Is it because NIL and they can bring better players in? And so we might continue to see this trend going forward of the SEC being more viable in college basketball? What are your thoughts? I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Well, who are you conspiring against? Who's the head of it? Who's doing the wrong? Because conspiracy, somebody's got to be in the wrong. But but again, it's all about the money, Doug, and this is here to stay. So now when they say the SEC, it means more is because of the dollars. And this is something you cannot gloss over. It's real. 7 teams in the Sweet 16, and I talked about it a couple of weeks ago, that with all the teams that I think they made, SEC had 14 teams in the whole entire tournament. 7 teams made the Sweet 16. Would it be a failure if none of those teams made the Final Four? And I said, yes, no doubt about it. Getting in is one deal, but making it to the Final Four is another. So now you have 2 teams playing each other in the Final Four from the SEC. And real quickly, how Greg Sankey, and Greg Sankey is the commissioner of the SEC, how he's really winning. If you move on to the women's Final Four, you have Texas playing the Gamecocks of South Carolina. 2 other SEC teams playing in that Final Four. So, yes, it's about the money, it's about the boosters, and it's about what Ohio State did, in my opinion, which was legal, and I'm okay with what Ohio State, the Buckeyes, did in football. Right. They paid and they bought a team. They went out and with the money that is allowed, got the best available players to come and play good level football. And oh, by the way, what everybody wants to be done in college, while you go to college, to win a championship. And that's what's going on now. So yes, it's an NIL. Yes, it's transfer portal. And I would say this to you, Doug, say goodbye to the mid-majors. Say goodbye to the Cinderellas. Say goodbye to all those upsets that go deep into the Sweet 16, because they're not going to have their talent that's going to stay with them throughout 3 or 4 years. Because if I'm a Bruce Pearl or if I'm a Houston, I'm going to get those guys. If you shine at a mid-major, I'm going to poach. I'm going to offer you more money, and I'm going to say, come to my school and help me out. And that's why I think the mid-major and the Cinderella and the upsets, and not the buzzer beaters, because it could still be buzzer beaters this weekend, but not Cinderella. It can be great games, but not Cinderella teams.
Yeah. And SEC is
big boy ball.
Synonymous. It's synonymous with paying players under the table, allegedly. over the last 50 years or so. One thing, you mentioned Dawn Staley. You mentioned the South Carolina Gamecocks. Dawn Staley has taken this team to its 5th Final Four in a row. Joe, this is one of my signature takes. I keep saying I'm going to do a reel on it, but I decided I'm going to wait to see if they make it to the finals, okay?
Yes.
Dawn Staley is going to be the first female head coach in the NBA. Hear me out. Hear me out, okay? Just hear me out, Joe. Don't say, Joe, just hear me out.
Yes, I'm listening. I can't wait because I think I'm tending to agree with you. Yeah.
Joe, there's nothing else for her to prove. She's won championships. This is the 5th Final Four in a row. The highest paid coach in the NBA is Greg Popovich, who makes like $35 million a year. Dawn Staley makes like $3.5 or not $35 million, $17 million for Greg Popovich. Dawn Staley makes like $3.5 million. That's a lot, but it ain't $17 million. Okay.
Right.
And also the press that you'd get for the team, for the organization, and for the league, where they invite a woman, to be a head coach in the NBA. And here's the thing. Dawn Staley, unlike a lot of female coaches, I believe, would get the respect from the players because the players know she's a baller. The players know her history and games she's won for the Olympics and when she was at Virginia. And they would respect her, and I think that's going to happen very soon, sooner than later. What are your thoughts?
Yes, my thoughts are that you're absolutely on to something, and I totally agree with you. The cachet, because she's X's and O's. She knows about it, because when you get to that level, Doug, all those guys want to know, how do you help me win? What play are you going to draw up on the sideline out of bounds? What play are you going to draw up to have a last-second shot? What design, ball movement, player movement, what are you going to bring to the table as far as to help us win? It's not about cachet. Help us win. I totally agree with you. And the cachet, she brings along a lot of knowledge in her contacts. Let's not forget about her resources. She can reach out to not just Lisa Leslie in the post moves of ladies basketball, but I'm sure she's got Popovich. I'm sure she's got, everybody, Pat Riley, everybody's number in her Rolodex that she can call upon. But here's where I think it's going to be not a hurdle, but I think it's going to be a reoccurring theme with these two people. Her or she, Dawn Staley, Coach Staley reminds me of prime time.
Right.
They can and they belong, but they feel their calling is impacted in the lives of young people. That's where I don't think that she's going to move on to that money. That's where I don't think she's going to move on to the highest paid. And yes, 17 million, she can get that. And I think she's well deserved and she can succeed. But it's just like Prime turning down the Dallas job. That yes, I can succeed there because I know the game and I can get guys motivated and get guys to perform. But I want to get some 18-year-old, and by the time they leave at 22, 23, they're better women, they're better men, they can impact society, and I can impact those guys that way. That's why I don't think she make that move. And that's the only way. And it's not even a negative thing to what you're saying. That's the only rebuttal I got to say why she might not go to the pros. That's it. That's it.
To quote the great Nino Brown, money talks, and BS runs a marathon. We'll see. And once again, I think the biggest thing is the whole, what else can she do, Joe? She could be like, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, Laker coach, longtime Laker coach that won all of the championships.
Phil Jackson?
Not Laker coach, I'm sorry, UCLA coach.
Coach. John Wooden.
So John Wooden won all those titles, and I'm sure that he got a lot of opportunities to coach in the NBA, and he turned it down. So that would be the only thing. If she feels like she has a bigger mission in life to influence these young ladies, then maybe. But I don't know, Joe.
I would say this. I would present this to you, Doug. I know you said the first women's coach in professional basketball, but why do you think Gino Auriemma stayed at UConn? It's the same thing. This guy, what does he have more to accomplish or to prove? He's the all-time everything. And I understand even just to coach the boys or coach the men, even to move up, because you know how we would think or society would think about, you're coaching women, step it up a level or go up another level. He stayed put just where he is.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and check this out. And this is proof in the pudding. What I love to bring up, Nick Saban tried it and tested it. Yeah, I can coach him that level, but this ain't me.
Right. Yeah.
That's
and
all.
now listen, don't get it twisted. I'd love for Deion to stay in college because once again, he has influence over young men. And I don't think, in the NFL, it is what it is. It's a salary cap. It's so much you can do. I think if Deion stays in college, and speaking of Deion Sanders, he's got a new 5-year,
oh my God,
$54 million extension. So here's what you got to look at. If you're a casual fan, if you're a fan, not really a fan of college football, you're like, why is it so he's getting paid so much money? Because enrollment is up. They're selling out games, merchandise, all flying up the shelves. He rebuilt this program into a power. I mean, to a degree. I mean, they haven't made it there yet, but they're getting so much talk and so much pub that they're starting to be included in all the conversations. $113 million in 6 home games and $59 million for the first bowl game that they've had in a long, long time. Deion is doing what we thought he would, but he's doing it even bigger than I think we thought he would. What are your thoughts about the new deal and the prime effect?
My goodness, man, the new deal and the prime effect. I'm not on the fence, but it had me thinking, and I've been thinking constantly since he signed that deal, being top 5. He's top 5. The only one up there with him like that without a title, a national championship, I think is the likes of Lincoln Riley and those guys. But what do you want in a head coach? That's what I'm thinking about. And to answer my question, what's first? What's non-negotiable? As an AD, as a community, Boulder, Colorado, there's no doubt about the prime effect and the money. You remember, Coach Prime, when he first said, I'm bringing the Louis bag with me. I'm having a lot of changes. A lot of people didn't like that. They didn't give Prime, Deion Sanders a contract. He didn't have a contract for a long time. So he was just doing what he thought he was called to do. I mean, he's always a faith-based guy too, letting the Lord lead him where he wants to go. But again, if he doesn't win a championship, is it worthy? Or is the money worth what are you getting out of him? Because you look at Colorado, is that good enough for Colorado? Because I think that, and in reading up, the AD gave him an out, Doug. He gave him an out. He said that, conference championships first, and that we will gradually, hopefully, compete for a national championship. So that alone, saying that you're getting this money is not about national championships. It's about conference championships and what Prime is doing, developing young men, recruiting, bringing the city of Boulder lots and lots and lots of money. But I just Deion saying is what he's worth right now. He should be or can be the highest paid coach in in college football right away.
Right.
Only if he gets a championship. I'm talking about a national championship. He has to stay in where he is, and a lot of people debated with me in my family household. I'm sure your brother would be talking about all his worth and what he brings to the table, his shoe deal, his endorsements, Aflac, and all that. I'm with that. But, top 5 overall, making $10 million a year. He's worth it. What he's brought to the program is worth it. But, man, when you get up there with the Kirby Smart and the Ryan Day and the Dabo Sweeney, I want to see a championship before you be the highest paid. I'm talking annually without their endorsements. Annually, when you get up there, you have to have championships. And he's well on his way, but the expectation has to be, if I'm an AD, championships or bust.
Think about this, Joe. We're Joe Hamilton. This is the Joe Hamilton Show on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. The Georgia Tech and College Football Hall of Famer joins us every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Joe, do you remember, you're a couple years younger than me. Do you remember Miami Hurricane gear and Georgetown Hoya gear was a fashion statement in our communities?
Absolutely. Yes.
That's what Deion has done. Like, people are trying to find Colorado paraphernalia in gear, man. So he's made it fashionable to be a Buffalo fan. That's big, and that talks a lot about that bottom line. like what he means money-wise and finance-wise to the school and to college football in general is huge.
Man, if you would ask my wife, shout out to you, Kenya. If you would ask my wife 3 years ago about Colorado, she would know nothing. But right now, she's a Colorado fan almost, and I don't want to call her on the mat. I don't want to call her on the carpet. Almost, and she's a Georgia Tech grad. She might pick Colorado to win the opening game against Georgia Tech. She might be rooting for Deion Sanders and what he's done over Georgia Tech. I'm joking a little bit, but that's what he's done. But right. Doug, what is bringing me back to the question in my mind, if I'm brainstorming this, is that does that trump championships? Right. Does that trump? And I know what apparel, because Jordan Hoyers now, Patrick Ewing got him one championship, and he should have won, and Villanova shot lights out to win that championship against them. We know about Allen Iverson carried that legacy on.
Yeah,
the Hurricanes won, and remember, the Hurricanes won championships.
Yeah.
So all those guys, we followed them, not only apparel and all that, but we followed them because they won. And they won on a national stage. So how far can just his pizzazz, his aura, the merchandise, everything you alluded to, where I'm totally agreeing with, how far can that get you up there in the highest paid without winning? Because again, you're going to think it's negative Ned, and I'm not trying to be negative Ned. He didn't win anything this year. They did well. Now, they're on the trajectories up, but they got brutally abused by BYU in the bowl game. Right. And you took steps from 1-11 to what you did, and then now making it to a bowl game, but there are steps to it. So I'm just talking about the highest paid. How are you going to rank those guys with championships and not championships? And that's just something I had to think about, because I think he's deserving of the money, but you can't surpass Ryan Day. You can't surpass Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney without a championship, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think he can get it done. He's got a lot of time to get it done, but you're absolutely right. Man, I think for one of my birthdays, I got a pair of them Hoyas. You remember the Hoyas?
Yes.
Now they didn't have Hoyas on the back. They had Nike on the back, but they were the gray and blue color scheme of the Georgetown Hoyas.
Hey, you better get your ankles taped.
Yes,
because
sir.
It was flat on the bottom. It was flat.
Absolutely flat on the bottom. All right, Joe. You are watching the Joe Hamilton Show right here on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. Pass the word. As a matter of fact, if you're a Georgia Tech alum, if you're somebody that loves college football, share this episode. Just hit the share button. We really, really would appreciate it, all right? So every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so we really switching gears now. Joe, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I have to kind of sort of, because there's a couple ways I want to go with this. Okay.
Yes.
Twofold. One part A is, do players still need the media? When I say players, I'm talking basketball players, NFL players, Major League Baseball players. Do they still need the media in this day and time of everybody that you can think of having their own podcast, having their own show? And the reason I bring that up is kind of tied to this whole, dare I say it, Stephen A. Smith, LeBron James, and Bronny James saga that's been going on for like the last 3 weeks. Give me your thoughts about that whole thing. Give me your whole thoughts about the media, and do athletes need it? And just give me some commentary. Give us some commentary.
Yeah, it is a saga, and it's unfortunate now that not unfortunate, but it's good for us. We're talking about it because it never goes away, and is a topic to say what's going on here. What's the ultimate? What's the end game? When I look at it, what's the end game for LeBron now? I'm talking about now, in 2 weeks leading up to the confrontation. What's the end game for Stephen A. Smith leading up to the conversation? And now they're bullies. They are bullies. LeBron James is a bully in his own right, being the best player that we've seen in this era. Some people say top 2, top 5, whatever. That's to be debatable. Stephen A. Smith, in his role, he is number one in his role, in my opinion, and the contract speaks that, whether you like him or not. But they're being bullies, and they're going about it in different ways. So it made me think, Doug, is that, when I was growing up, and until recently, if you needed to get a story out, if you wanted to say, have something to be said, or you were from the low country of Alvin, South Carolina, or the low country of Moco, Mount Scorner, and they want to do a feature story on us, we needed the media.
Right.
The media is going to come down there and follow us for 2 or 3 days and do that story that's going to air on, Sunday or Saturday, halftime at a game. And that's how you needed the media. Promote this. Or you had a homeboy, or not a homeboy, or a media associate that you became close with.
Right.
Hey, I'm about to do this. Can you write that for me? Can you say I've been to my daughter's practice? Can you present something good? And also knowing that those media people are saying that if something bad happens, I'm going to also have to print that. I'm going to save you. I'm going to protect you, but I have to talk basketball. If something happens, basketball, if you're struggling, throw 3 interceptions, go 0 for 10 from the foul line, what have you in any other sport. But now I don't know if you need those guys to get those stories out. I don't know. I mean, because we've always said, if you have a problem, call a press conference. If you anybody from the 50th, top 50th or top 50 players in the NBA, NFL right now, you can call a press conference anytime. Top 50th player, you can get on your social media and just have somebody film you, and that's a press conference.
Right.
Anything you want to be said. I had a birthday party. I took my son to this. This is the accolades, or I have a problem with this person. You're your own media now. So at some point, I think these athletes are turning, and this is what I got or gathered from the LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith saga. Players are going to start, ostracizing the media. As opposed to what they have to do mandatory. You have to do it because it's collectively a bargain. You have to spend some time after the game and talk to the media. I think that's going to go by the wayside, Doug, to where if I don't have to, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to Draymond Dream podcast. I'm going up to All in the Smoke or Club Shay Shay, or even I'm going to my own deal and saying how I feel about a certain person. That has changed, and I don't like the bickering, and I don't like it getting personal. And I don't think you've heard my take on LeBron and Stephen A., how I feel about this.
No, let's hear it.
Personal, Stephen A. got personal. Stephen A. got personal in the form of LeBron, as a father, you should do this. That's where. And that's what he did say, bottom line, verbatim, quoted. I heard him. He said, step up as a father. Stop this. Stop the madness, so to speak. So that was questioning him as a father about whatever he said and how he put LeBron James or Bronny James in a predicament of being scrutinized in every game. 55th overall pick, I understand that. But when you say as a father, stop this, and I'm attacking you as a father, how would you feel, Doug?
Yes,
if somebody said this.
I disagree.
Go ahead. Okay, talk to me. But what I want you, before you go, I want you to put in your mind when I say to you, your daughter went to college, she chose that college, you should have stepped in as a father. Anytime I say to as a father, not in my opinion, but as a father, that resonates a little bit differently.
Well, once again, I don't want to steal your shine. This is your show, so I don't
no, please, man. We're chopping it up, barbershop style.
Yeah, but this is Stephen A.'s job, and I don't think that he said in the statement that he made about as a father, I don't think that he was negating LeBron being a father. I think he was just saying, coming from the perspective of a father. That's what Stephen A. meant. Because he's a father. So he's saying from the perspective of a father, this is what I feel. This is what I think that you've done. And I really, and listen, I've been saying it from the very beginning. I think that Stephen A., or I think that LeBron put Bronny in a bad position by engineering him getting picked by the team that he plays for and taking a spot on an NBA roster.
Totally agree.
Because opposing players, fans that don't like LeBron for whatever reason, it just gave them some ammunition. So, I mean, once again, we could go back and forth about, was it a personal attack on LeBron when Stephen A. said, as a father? I guess is how you look at it. And if you look at it that way, I totally hear. A lot of people look at it the way that you're looking at it.
No, and that's the only thing I look at it really. I'm telling you, all the way up until my toes almost touch the line of where you're going, until he says, as a father, telling you that you messed this up as a father. All right. So if you, and then I don't see how you can say, Doug, if he says as a father, that that's not personal. Right. We've always saying keep it basketball, keep it on the court, keep it sports wise. I can't tell the difference between personal and sports when you say as a father. You telling me, and you told me to stop this. You said put an end to this. Almost like it's going too far. Your parenthood, and I know I'm going to the extreme. Your parenthood, it's almost like LeVar Ball. We said the same thing about LeVar Ball. I mean, it was like, hey, man, what are you doing? As a father, man, you putting some, you putting a mark on these guys' back. You putting something on these guys' back. That when you go out, target on these guys' back that's unwarranted. But this is the as father, just statement that got me a little bit. And I agree with you, Doug. I agree. LeBron James, he's better than 50% of the NBA players right now. That's a target. All right. But as a father, he also said, my dream. They said, what do you have left to accomplish, LeBron? You've done it all. I just want to play with my son, and that'll top it off. That's no big deal, right? Yeah. And the thing I have with LeBron is just that he's better than these guys that's playing in the NBA. But other than the nepotism, trying to get him to the Lakers, the sideline and jogging them out there to be, Barry Bonds and those guys playing with their fathers. I understand that, and I totally get it, man.
Yeah. So we're gonna move away from this, but last question. We had a lot of in-depth conversation about this on the 2 Live Stews this past week. By the way, if you're watching this show, the Joe Hamilton Show on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network, me and my brother Ryan Stewart, the 2 Live Stews, we kind of started this whole genre, to be honest with you. We come on live Monday and Thursday mornings. We come on live Monday and Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're watching this live, we got a show tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. at 2, the number 2, Live Stews, YouTube.com. One other thing that was very odd to me about that whole story, LeBron and Stephen A. and Bronny, is the fact that LeBron was so irate about this that he approached this man at his workplace, at his job, in a threatening type manner. A lot of people was like, they weren't going to fight. They probably weren't going to fight. But Joe Hamilton, if you were a billionaire, if a lot of people regarded you as the greatest basketball player of all time, equal or better than Michael Jordan, my thing is I wouldn't care what anybody says about me. Or do you understand LeBron getting or being mad to the point where he stepped to a man on national TV while doing his job? I mean, what are your thoughts about that? Like, could people get under your skin if you were at the position LeBron's at and where LeBron put himself at?
That's why no, I can't, and I cannot empathize, no doubt about it, because I'm nowhere close to being where he is, but I can sympathize a little bit. Is that the fact that he did that showed me how hurt he was about that whole thing, what Stephen A. Smith said or did. I mean, it had to come from Savannah James, his wife, how he saw his son reacting to it. It had to come from a guy. When I see him, like the young kids say, is on site. All right, Doug, it's on site. Because you said on his, you said he did this on his job, at his job.
On his job.
This wasn't, Doug, this wasn't pregame. This wasn't halftime. It wasn't after the game. It was between quarters. It was a timeout.
It was in the middle of the game.
So yeah, he was hurt. That's all I can say. He was very, very, very hurt by it, and he needed to get that off his chest. And I think it was more so that I can't let this go along to this guy here that, no, I disagree.
Have you ever seen the video of Stephen A. sparring?
My God.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, and I heard what he said. He said, hey, if you want to see that about 7 or 8 years ago and think I'm the same guy now, you got another.
You're 7 or 8 years older. What are you talking about? Right. If that was 7 or 8 years ago, it's probably way worse now. Come on, Stephen A. Come on, bro.
That was a good troll. That was a good comeback from LeBron James, no doubt.
All right. Listen, you are watching the Joe Hamilton Show right here on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. Joe, the Atlanta Braves, it's baseball season. All right,
Yes.
it's baseball season. Our Atlanta Braves 0-6 in their first 2 series of the year. They're playing right now live in the third game against the Los Angeles Dodgers, but went 0-4 against the San Diego Padres and lost the first 3 or the first 2 against the Dodgers, and once again, they're playing them right now in the third game in the matchup. That's 162 games. I don't know how. I don't even think that people will really start thinking about and talking baseball until after the NBA season is over.
Yeah.
It's just not a. It's same thing for basketball. Like, we really don't start talking about basketball until the NFL is over, until the Super Bowls happen. Same thing with baseball, even worse because there's so many games. Is there anything to worry about from what you've seen in the Braves in these first 5 games?
Doug, they talk about it in baseball, Labor Day. March, April, May, June, you start getting into the guys feeling out. You're feeling out your roster. You're getting guys back. And I had a hard time dealing with this, and I'm having a hard time watching it because the Braves are our favorite. They're always going to be a favorite to win the World Series or compete or have a shot at the pennant. Ronald Acuna Jr. is out. We know that. Spencer Strider, the all-world pitcher, he's out. He hadn't played yet, and they, scheduled to come back sometime in May. But can you get too far behind? Can you get too far behind, meaning that you went 0-6, and how? How are you going 0-6? The bats are not alive. I think they're like 2 for 30-something and with runners in scoring position. They have scored 9. You said they're 0-6. Yes, they are 0-6. And they've scored 9 runs, Doug. 9 runs in 6 games. That can't win. The bullpens are letting them down a little bit. So, and your best player, Chris Sale, your best pitcher, Chris Sale, Cy Young Award winner, he's going 2 of those 6 games. So when you say your best pitchers, he should be able to stop a run or stop a losing streak or, stop the bleeding, so to speak. That's what's been going on. So now you're not playing good ball. If you're going to wait around or hang around and think Ronald Acuna Jr. and those guys can save it, I know there was, 156 games left, but can it get too far out of hand? And I do understand, and which I want to reiterate, I'm not panicking because the San Diego Padres, outstanding team. They beat you. They swept you in the opening series. Now you're playing, and you lost the first 2 games against the defending world champions in the Los Angeles Dodgers. Outstanding lineup. And you got Blake Snell on the lineup on the mound tonight playing against the Braves. So I'm not panicking. And the division, let's not forget about the division with the Marlins are winning games, the Phillies winning games, the Mets. They bought the highest, second to the Dodgers, payroll in baseball. So can you find yourself falling too far behind? And if I was to bet right now, nobody would think about the Braves are the only team in Major League Baseball without a win.
Wow, that's crazy to say.
I'm not panicking, Doug. I just wanted to bring that up and just tune us into baseball a little bit. Opening week was last week, and this week I'm just not concerned. But how should I feel about you digging a hole? 4 games back already, and you finding your way. Are you just waiting for your best 2 players to come back, or can you kind of I see some signs I don't like: the bullpen, the pitching, and the hitting that I don't quite like. And manager Brian Snitker right now, he's made another change up tonight in the lineup. He's not panicking, but he's trying to search for answers.
So the Braves got a 3-game set coming up this weekend, starting Friday night against the Miami Marlins. And so how many games do you try to catch a year? Are you a big baseball guy?
Oh, yeah, I'm a huge baseball guy. As far as definitely
you didn't play baseball in high school, did you?
No, backyard with aluminum foil.
Okay. Yeah.
Old school. But I love baseball. I love the science of it. There's a little bit. I'll catch an inning here and there, but I've always been a Braves fan, and I've always been the Sunday night baseball and all those just tuning in and keeping up with the top guys: Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Aaron Judge. Bryce Harper, any big name guys I know about, and especially I'll keep along or keeping tabs with the Atlanta Braves, no doubt.
Joe, you a wrestling fan?
Yes.
Now, when I say wrestling, I'm talking wrestling with an A, not with an E. I'm not
Four
talking
horsemen,
the Olympics.
Four Horsemen, Ric Flair, the Boogie Woogie Woogie Man, all those back in the day when it came on Saturday morning. Yes,
hey,
yes.
People forget about the Boogie Woogie Man now. So
ooh.
Talk about the man from New York City. He's kind of fly. Yes. Yeah. So the Boogie Woogie Man had two iterations. He went from the Boogie Woogie Man and he was King Valiant. You remember he changed to King Valiant?
Yes. I'm all in, Doug.
The reason I thought about that, I just saw a meme pop up on my screen talking about the greatest the greatest WWF wrestlers of all time. And, Ric Flair kind of dabbled in the WWF, but he's more so known for the NWA, back in the day. But yeah, did you ever catch a match at Charleston County Hall?
I've never catch it live. Never catch it live. The only reaction, man, I'll tell you a really quick story about the only reaction I had close to wrestling is McMahon. McMahon came to downtown Atlanta and met with me one-on-one, Doug Stewart, one-on-one. And this is why he did that, because the XFL was still just getting ready to launch when I was coming out of college. He wanted me to be the face of, you remember, He Hate Me in the new league. Yeah, he wanted me to be the face of that. He wanted me to make sure I store out there in LA, and I was going to get the brink of the money, one of the highest paid people in that league. Yes, one-on-one, me and McMahon down there downtown at a hotel, and I turned them down. And I turned them down because at that point I was already with the Bucks, and I felt that leaving the NFL would kind of damper that with a diminished league.
That's a great story. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the old XFL, I was the first person that he reached out to, just him. He didn't have a security guard. He didn't have anybody walk him into it. I met him downtown in a hotel, and we chopped it up about 2 hours about me being the face of the XFL when it was first started. Absolutely.
Did he have money? Was he talking like a bonus?
That's McMahon. Yes. The face of the league, yes.
I don't know. I think you might should have done that.
I'm just telling you. Hey, listen. But
because
again,
people forget that a lot of successful Hall of Fame players played in not the XFL, the USFL.
Or USFL, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Reggie White played in the USFL.
Herschel Walker. Doug Flutie.
What's the quarterback for Steve Young? Steve Young played in the
yes, absolutely,
in the USFL. There's a lot of guys that took that money and then they came back to the NFL and balled out still. But I don't know, Joe. If he was going to stroke you a check, I think I might, and then make you the face of the league.
Yeah.
Oh no, Joe. Oh no.
Any
regrets? Any regrets?
Not regrets, but thinking long and hard about it. But the only thing that helps me out now is that league does not no longer exist.
Yeah, right.
It flailed,
right?
You know what I mean? As opposed to me having it was all about the NFL getting out of that and going to that XFL. And I grew up NFL, and that was a lesser than, and I went name brand over money at that particular time.
Right.
No regrets, but boy, a lot of thoughts about it, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, you could have saved the league. You could have been like the fish to save Pittsburgh. You could have been like Dr. J.
Or had some equity. Equity in it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is the Joe Hamilton Show on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. We do it every Wednesday night, and every week we give Joe Hamilton time to huddle up. We call it huddle up. You bring the team in and you say huddle up, guys, and you run a play and you have an option and there's a hole, and instead of just running in, you dive in. We're gonna let you dive in just like that clip at the start of the show or whatever's on your mind. Take it away.
Yeah, what's on my mind now, Doug, is it's still all about, and it's been for at least the last 3 weeks, about service, servanthood. And I ran across some things thinking about what is service? How do you really actually serve? And to me, it's 3 T's. A lot of people can say money, valuables, making sure you feed the sick, Thanksgiving turkeys, giving to the poor, all those type things. But it's 3 T's. Number 1 is time. We all have time. We all have a little bit of a bit of our day that we can donate to serving however we need to serve. Number 2 is your talent. What talent can you give? Do you speak well? Can you run well? Can you talk well? Are you able to cook? Are you able to grill? Are you able to drive well? Do you stay up? Can this be long distance? Are you able to, nurture? Are you a doctor? Whatever. That's another thing. Whatever your talents, you can serve with your talents. And the third one is treasure. Treasure can be a lot of different things, man. Treasure can be your resources. Hey, man, I own a car dealership and I have an extra car, and there's a family of 4 or 5 that they don't have a car. Their car may have broke down somewhere. Let me lend them an extra car. Or I have another business over there that I can help somebody out with my resources. Or I know somebody that knows somebody. That's your treasure. Or a treasure also can be your money. It can be your money, but it's not limited to your money. When we're thinking about serving, when we're thinking about being of assistance to others, I go back to the 3 T's. It's your time. Are you available to give whatever you need to give? What about your talents? Whatever your talents are, everybody has something inside of them that can be given no matter what. And your treasure. What do you hold dear to your heart? What do you have abundance of? What do you have things that you can give and share and, be of assistance? Those are the things we need to do. And those are the things that I'm dwelling on, Doug, that, I need to be more of a service in any aptitude, any language, any barrier that's holding us back. How can I serve others? And that way we can become a better society, in my opinion, brother.
Yeah! I like it. I'm pumped up. Time, talent, and treasure. Oh, that's beautiful, Joe. That's beautiful, Joe. That's beautiful, Joe. Great words. I wish we had the applause machine. We still working on the applause machine.
No.
But that was great. Back in the day, Ryan would say that's power. Power to the people.
And Doug, just you and your treasure, your time, and knowing you and what you're about, what you're going on, helping others the way you help others financially and getting those selves going on. You do a lot of that. Yeah, we all got to get paid, but you do a lot of that just because I'm in the business of helping. You love seeing smiles on the face. Where can I fit in, man? A turkey give out, being on the neighborhood. For instance, I might ask my neighbor when I cut my yard, the yard need cut. When I'm grilling out, and make sure you guys thaw something out because I'm in the mood of grilling. Anything that you can be of assistance to anybody else, man, is service, and it's just not money, man. It's availability.
That's what's up. Hey, Joe, great show, man. Great show.
Man, that's good stuff, brother. That's
great
good
show,
stuff.
Joe. Great show, man. Thank you so much for doing this for the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. College football Hall of Famer, Georgia Tech legend Joe Hamilton, Moco, Berkeley County legend as well. I'll throw that in there as well.
Yes, sir.
Great stuff, man. Great stuff. So we'll see you again next week, Wednesday. By that time, the national championship. Did they go play the national championship Monday? Don't they play it Monday?
Yeah. For the women's, it's Friday, Sunday. For the men's, it's Saturday, Friday, Sunday for the women. Women's Saturday, Monday for the men. For the men. You have a champion, no doubt about it. And I definitely will be tuned in to you guys and see what you guys chopping up with in the morning, brother.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Joe Hamilton, thank you so much, brother. We'll see y'all, whoever y'all is watching right now, next week, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much. Peace.